people are dying because of this food security issue, and there being a food desert. And what's easiest and cheapest to eat is junk food, and that's what you can find everywhere. It's $1 for a hamburger, and you don't have to cook it, and you can just eat cheap and fast that way. And so I was just really struck by that, and even more so when just after that I attended a workshop at University of Michigan Dearborn. And after the panel discussion, we were sitting around a table, and it was mostly white people at that table. And I mentioned what Monica had said to me and how struck I was about that, and that there was really an urgent need to do something about food security in Detroit. And the response at the table was, gosh, that's too big a problem. We can't deal with that. And, I just thought, wow, how can you not deal with that and have some sense of urgency to deal with it?
Then it really opens people's eyes. Most people don't look at things with their third eye. Most of our people are looking at things only with their physical eyes. They see, what exists in the physical world, not necessarily the possibilities that exist beyond what now exists. So, we're visionaries, and, we create concrete examples of the types of things that can exist. So, we're trying to, I guess, follow, in a sense, what the Bible says, that where there is no vision, the people perish. And so we're trying to instill the sense of vision within people, because we think it's still inside of our people. We still have the ability to do it. It's just been suppressed. And so we kind of have to remove this layer of self-hatred and self-doubt and develop a sense of confidence so that we understand that we do have this ability. And one of the ways we do it is by creating concrete examples.
I think the fundamental question in Detroit is, what do we collectively want for each other? That's the question. And if you want something for yourself, you should want it for your neighbor. You should want it for the daughter of your neighbor. You want your child to graduate, you should want the whole children in the neighborhood to graduate. That's our collective and communal interest. People called it the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But if we don't have that, we don't have community. All we get is some rabid, greedy folk who's only interested in themselves, whether they eat and whether they're situated, and everybody else go to hell. I think that is profoundly a false choice. I think that is not an answer to what is the problems we face.
There's an ever-growing and present need to provide for ourselves, which is very likened to growing our own food. In order to meet our needs, we have to start realizing opportunities to stop relying on others, on institutions and legislators to look out for our best interests. We have to also look at ourselves and seeing ourselves as part of that greater struggle to provide for our basic needs. So food being one, shelter being another, and some of the emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual needs that we have as people as well.
The kinds of models, farms that we have in Detroit, the D-Town Farm, Earthworks Urban Farm, and all the gardens that are now, growing in all the neighborhoods, they're great. They help, of course, help people feed themselves and their families healthy food, and bring neighbors together around food. They help improve neighborhoods. They allow growers who are growing enough to be able to sell food to their neighbors. Detroit is a leader in the urban agriculture movement in this country, and people come from all over the world, in fact, not just the country, to learn how we do urban agriculture. What is great about the way urban agriculture has been done, it's by working with individuals, households, doing backyard gardens, community gardens, school gardens, and then market gardens. It's really, there's a rich network that's developed, and it's allowed people to take charge of their neighborhoods, and because of the amount of vacant land that we have in the city, we have the potential to really meet a huge percentage of our need for fruits and vegetables by growing agriculture in the city. And of course, for that we need supportive policies at the city level so that more land and other resources needed for agriculture can come into the hands of people who want to come.
Folks are saying even if there was a grocery store in my neighborhood that sold fresh fruits and vegetables, it's still important for me to know how to grow my own food. So given, if we just erased the fact and put Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and, just flooded black communities with these markets, one, it may actually increase access to healthy fruits and vegetables. But you've got folks who believe that it's not just enough to have the fresh fruits and vegetables, but it's to know and to reconnect with the earth, to identify, well, where does this food grown? Where do the seeds come from? How is the earth treated? Who benefits from the sale of it, and what have you. So there's quite a bit of a beautiful story that comes out of a really sort of sad story. The sadness is that there's a lack of access. The other part of it is that people are creating these mechanisms and to build these strategies to overcome the barriers that stand between them and access.
In terms of that playing out, I see ourselves coming up with our own governance. I see examples of that popping up right now. I see examples of creating our own economy. I see examples of us coming together with a greater consciousness of how we're all interconnected, not only between ourselves, but also the earth.
I always ask the question, how do you eat steak and your people starve? How do you do that? How do you have, and your neighbor goes without, and you comfortable with that? There has to be some leveling where everybody has a basic something that promotes quality of life. And then above that, if you got extra, it's with you. If we don't have that, we're going to continue to have profound poverty with people with no resources, no nothing, and profound unabated greed, where people exploit people, individuals, resources, hoard, and then laugh at other people and say, well, you poor because you wasn't greedy enough, or you poor
Justice and food security and food sovereignty provides a lens through which we can view this larger global crisis. And it provides a lens through which we can look at how we organize people to create new types of economies that are not based on shipping products throughout the world and opening up markets globally, but economies that are based on people producing right where they are the things that they need and circulating that money within their communities so that they begin to enrich themselves and they derive money, they derive wealth and benefit from their own labor and from their own resources. So this food justice, food security, and food sovereignty, again, provides a lens through which we can begin to organize people for the larger work that needs to be done. It's my view that the food work that we're doing is really just part of a larger movement or a larger struggle for freedom, justice, and equality for people throughout the world.